3, 2, 1, live.
See, got a page missing here. Good morning, and I am missing the page here. Hold on just a second. Hold on just 1 second, everybody. I'm just looking for one other. I apologize to everybody. We've had internet. Here we go. All right. Well, anyway, just calling the meeting to order, recognizing that a quorum of commissioners is present. I call the February 23rd, 2026 meeting of the Cannabis Control Commission to order. This meeting is being held remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and is being recorded. Commissioners Benedon, Roy, Stebbins, and myself are participating in today's meeting. All votes taken today will be by roll call. We have a short but important agenda today. We will begin with public testimony on the exclusivity extension and the secret shopper oversight draft regulations. Before we begin the public hearing, I'd like to remind you that this hearing is remote only and being streamed live. My apologies and best wishes to everybody who's dealing with this crazy storm. For that reason, we ask that everyone please stay on mute until it is your turn to speak. This will help ensure that those participating and watching can clearly hear the speakers. Please note that commissioners are documenting comments and may choose not to ask questions of individual speakers. No quorum is required of commissioners if people experience power outages, staff, or the chair can continue to accept remote testimony in the instance of any power outages or connectivity issues. I will ask that the commissioners wishing to comment or to ask questions during any part of their meeting raise their hand to be recognized. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry. Draft regulations, public hearing. First, some housekeeping guidelines. For those wishing to testify, please add your name to the sign-up sheet. We will take testimony, in order of sign-in. If there are elected officials who wish to testify, they may go first. In order to allow as many people as possible to testify, we will be limiting testimony to 3 minutes. Again, you can always provide written testimony in addition to any oral comments that you make. Speakers are invited to come off mute, turn their camera on, introduce themselves, please, and what entity or organization they might represent. Due to technical restraints, while the speaker may not be able to see commissioners, commissioners in the public can see them. Speakers may be asked follow-up questions at the discretion of commissioners. The commission asks that speakers use respectful language and speak to the topic at hand. The commission encourages speakers to submit their testimony in writing as well. For those who cannot attend this public meeting, again, written testimony can be submitted to commission@cccmass.com with the subject line exclusivity extension and secret shopper oversight no later than 5 o'clock today. So with that, again, apologize for my technical limitations. Just want to get back here. I have already lost my power briefly and my internet, so if I do disappear, just let people know I will be joining by phone. That also being said, I will, while I already have a standing delegation order, if indeed something happens and I cannot rejoin within a reasonable amount of time, I will designate Commissioner Roy to be the acting chair if I can't make it back to the camera here. So when I call your name, please turn off and mute. Please come off of mute and turn your camera on. And the first person that we have is Devin Alexander. Devin, if you could come off mute and turn your camera on. Okay. Hi, Devin.
Good morning. How's it going?
Well, how are you doing?
I'll be a lot better once all this snow is gone.
Yeah. All right, Devin, share any thoughts you have on the proposed regs.
All right. Good morning, Cannabis Control Commissioners. My name is Devin Alexander. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rolling Relief. We are a marijuana delivery operator based in Newton, Massachusetts, one of the first delivery operators in the state. And people always ask me why we went towards delivery in the first place. And it always comes back to the exclusive window that delivery operators and licensees received as part of being social equity participants. We've had to fight for many years to really make delivery just a viable license type, from getting wholesale to getting one driver to being able to deliver to 11 p.m. to hopefully now just getting the social equity trust fund disbursements. It's been a long road, and still a long way to go. There's still less than 30 delivery operators statewide, and I propose that the exclusive window be extended for at least another 5 years. It's just not enough time that we've had to really gain a foothold still. There's still so many people out there that don't even know delivery is a thing. Half the battle is just getting people to know that we exist. And more needs to be done in the interim. We need to, ease up on marketing restrictions, and we need to, have a public awareness campaign. A lot of people don't even know, like I said before, they don't even know delivery, they can get it to their house. So I think it would be very premature to end it after 3. So I'm proposing that the Cannabis Control Commission extend the delivery exclusive window for a minimum of 5 years. I know the Donahue report said 5 to 7 as well. So I'm really going back to all that. There's still people going through social equity program as well. There's still so many people that, they want the delivery license now that we have all these options available to us that we didn't have back when it was first released in 2021. Also, having the ability to repackage now has been very, very great for us, getting great margins on those products as well. So, I'll wrap it up, keep it short. I propose the delivery exclusivity window be extended for a minimum of another 5 years. Thank you.
Do any commissioners have any questions or comments? I see none. Devin, one question I have is in terms of advertising and marketing restrictions. Obviously, that's going to be, I think, one of the things that both the legislature is looking at, but something that we can look at. What are the current? And again, this is just my ignorance, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners know better than I. What are the current restrictions that are most frustrating to you about being able to market and generate public awareness about your service?
I think one of the minor ones is just being able to, offer discounts. I think that's what we should be able, like any other business, we should be able to, say, hey, there's discounts on this, and have it out there. And we're not allowed to have markings on our vehicles, but even if we could, I would still keep them the same, honestly. A lot of our customers love the discretion. Even our exit bags are brown paper bags, but just more marketing and public awareness in terms of offering discounts, in terms of, obviously you have to make sure 85% of the audience is 21 years of age and above. I think, lowering that threshold from 85, down to 65%, would be very helpful as well.
Thank you. All right. If anybody else have any questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Devin. Stay warm. Moving on to Michael Marinaro. Michael, if you could unmute, if you can come on camera, that's great. And if you could identify yourself.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. I want to thank the commission today for allowing us to speak on these regulation changes. And I just want to state my name is Michael Marinaro. I'm the owner of Bada Broom, sorry, the owner of Bada Bloom and also Bada Vroom, which is our delivery operator license. And we just received our grant this week. And I just want to say that I am in favor of extending the delivery operator licenses for one of the main reasons. I just don't believe that we have met the metrics for equity. I am still not an operational license in this state. We have had our provisional license for delivery now for about 8 months, and I've held my provisional licenses for almost 4 years now for cultivation and manufacturing. We have a very unique model to our approach in delivering directly to front doors from our cure rooms of our cultivation facility and just keeping our fresh product. And it's just, we haven't really seen my model yet. And I feel that we really need to extend this for a minimum of 5 years for all applicants, so we can really, as Devin said, gain a foothold on this. We know a lot of the larger operators came in on day one, and they had their chance to make their businesses successful. I feel that social equity has not even had a chance yet to make these businesses successful. And in my eyes, that is the whole reason why I was even brought into the legal cannabis industry, and why I went forth of going for these licenses. And getting into an exclusivity license was one of the reasons that made me go and do this, because it is just it's very crucial to make sure we have a successful social equity program, and really extending these licenses for the foreseeable future. I would like to see, but a minimum of 5 years, it would be crucial. Also, with the marketing as well, I know I'm not an operational business, but I do know the impacts of having marketing restrictions against any business. And for us to be a cannabis business and have some of these marketing restrictions is just detrimental to the businesses itself. And this is why they're not necessarily taking off as quick as they should be. So to ease up on some of those marketing regulations would be huge as well. And just supporting our social equity businesses and making sure that we can get as many operational as we possibly can, and to make them successful for the foreseeable future. It's one thing to become operational, it's another to stay operational and make sure that these models will be successful. And I believe extending this period is one of the biggest things that we can do to have that. So just want to say thank you again for allowing me to speak today. And on behalf of all the social equity applicants, I think that we can all say that this is something everyone would like to have changed in these regulations. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. And 5 seconds to spare. Appreciate your brevity. Commissioner Roy, I see your hand up.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Michael and Devin, before you for your testimony. Michael, I was typing furiously while you were speaking, so I could always keep notes to help me remember. So you're the owner of Bada Bloom and Bada Vroom. And Bada Bloom, which ones are in provisional? And Bada Vroom will be delivery operator. So can you just walk us through Bada Bloom, what phase it's in, versus Bada Vroom?
Yep. So Bada Bloom has now had provisional licenses for 4 years. We have been moving forward with our project, getting through construction phases and raising money. I mean, raising capital has been the hardest part of anything of the social equity program. And we just keep moving forward so we can get as close to our provisional license, or sorry, our final license as we can. So we finally just put in for our delivery license. We have had our HCA for over 2 years, but unfortunately, I paid. I think after this next renewal, I'll pay over $40,000 now in renewal fees. And that I guess that's another thing to talk about, is why are social equity applicants paying renewal fees for businesses that are not up and running. I would like to get into that and how we could potentially have those waived of some sort, as I feel paying these fees consistently over and over as we try to get operational is just hindering the business even more. But that's another subject. But yes, we do intend on operating all 3 of these licenses at the same time for our final license, which hopefully, given a little bit more capital on top of this grant we were just received, that this will be possible to be operational this year. So this is why we finally put in for our delivery, our provisional license this past October, so we could move forward with these grants that are, very, very welcoming and very helping our business be sustainable so we can become operational.
Thank you. Commissioner Stebbins. Oh, Commissioner Rice, sorry, got your hand up.
Yeah, just a follow-up. Thank you, but that's helpful. So Bada Bloom has been provisional for 4 years. Is that product manufacturing and cultivation, or what is that provisional license?
It is. So there. It's a tier 1 grow. I believe personally, as an applicant, these small craft cultivations are what are going to be extremely sustainable. I know we're talking about the over product in knocking down these tiers, which, from my understanding, has been in the regulation since day one, but we really haven't been enforcing that. And, really starting with the smaller cultivation from my aspect is kind of our model that, still to this day, I have not really seen existent, and having that being delivered directly to someone's front door has not really been marketed that way. And, that has been my model since day one. And we're just, moving forward so we can actually have all 3 of these licenses come online at the same time.
If I may, Madam Chair, just to
Please,
follow up.
thank you.
So, Michael, you said you have like a unique business model. So when do you mean, in other words, you're gonna cultivate it, you're gonna make your own products, and then go direct to consumer? Is that the uniqueness you were referring to?
Correct. I mean, you have these large companies that, have so much flower. You're a tier 10, you're producing so much flower. I mean, it's really hard to keep that flower, fresh. And in my mind, cannabis should only be fresh. Yes, there's a cure period, but, delivering it directly to someone's front door, that model has not really been focused on yet. And whether it has to do with products that are necessarily not in the most top quality that they can be. I know we talk a lot about the radiation machines and companies utilizing that and, making the public knowledge and understanding that. I mean, I would never in a million years install a radiation machine in my facility. What I did is I designed my facility correct, so I did not need a radiation machine, which unfortunately cost a lot more capital. And that is one of the reasons why my cultivation is not up and running, because my design requires certain aspects of it. And, going through COVID and going through these construction changes, some of my prices have almost doubled, and I had to raise money through COVID, and it was not easy. And unfortunately, I am not sacrificing my design to have to use one of these, because then my entire model really wouldn't make sense. So if you kind of look at it like in comparison to another industry, which, we are supposed to have regulations similar to the alcohol industry, I would consider ourselves the model of like a treehouse brewery, where you would have selective products that, have specific flavors. And it's really, in my eyes, kind of like the new wave of cannabis that hasn't even happened yet. So it's kind of hard to not have these periods extended when I haven't even been able to present my cannabis model yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins.
Thank you.
Commissioner Benedon, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much, Mike. Great presentation. Going on to Greg Robinson. Then Greg, if you can come on the camera and unmute. If you can't uncamera, that's okay too. Do we have Greg Robinson? Betsy or Paul, can you see if Greg is in attendance? Greg Robinson? I don't see. All right. Well,
No.
we will move. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
No, it's just Paul. I was just saying he's not here.
Okay, great. So I'm going to just put that in a little parentheses here and say we're skipping. But I do see that Danny Carson Stair is here. Danny, if you could unmute.
Hi, thank you very much, chairs and commissioner and staff. My name is Danny Carson Stair, and I'm here today speaking on behalf of workers, consumers, and medical patients across Massachusetts. Over the past several years, I've worked closely with the individuals throughout this industry, listening to their experiences and reviewing information related to workplace conditions and product safety and public health. And I want to begin with a simple truth that worker safety and consumer safety are inseparable, and together they are public safety. And when contaminated products reach the market, whether due to mold, pesticides, or environmental failures, it's often a reflection of the conditions workers face inside the facility every day. And through my own off-the-shelf testing, I've reviewed more than 100 products from cultivators and testing labs across the state. When I encountered heavily molded mold contaminated samples, I treated that as a red flag, not only for consumers, but for workers. And in many cases, I've submitted FOIA requests to local fire and police departments to review emergency response activity at those facilities. And what I've repeatedly found is a concerning pattern. When contamination is severe in products, emergency calls and medical response at facilities that created them often appear more frequently. And at the same time, workers have come forward often anonymously and out of fear of retaliation, describing environments that they put their health at risk. Their stories reinforce what environmental findings already suggest. When product safety break down, worker safety is often already compromised. I've shared the results of my sampling and research with the Commission's investigation and enforcement teams. However, the perspective of workers and advocates is that little change has followed. The lack of transparency around investigations and enforcement in this matter has created distrust and has left many people questioning whether their concerns are being taken seriously. This is why programs like the Secret Shopper Initiative matter, but not only are they a useful tool for compliance, they are also, if contaminated samples are discovered, those findings should trigger a thorough and transparent review of the facility conditions. I urge the Commission to recognize environmental testing data as an early warning sign for worker health risks and urgent warning sign for consumer and patients. When mold and pesticide contamination is confirmed, there should be clear enforcement pathways that include reviewing ventilation and also immediately pulling unsafe products from the shelves. The data, the worker testimony, and the environmental findings all point to the same conclusion. These are signals that need to be, I will take my time. Thank you.
Danny, and again, everyone here thanks you for your continued advocacy, and obviously Secret Shopper is just one tool that we can jointly leverage to promote both consumer safety but also worker safety. And I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done. As you know, we're going to have an additional public hearing. We are working on scheduling that right now. And we did get, I got a letter from I think it was Food and Commercial Workers Union asking for a 2-week lead time. And so when we get off this hearing today, I will work with our executive assistant who's helping us manage and schedule this, and also with Executive Director Ahern to make sure that we have that more fulsome discussion, and hopefully we can do that in person and not via this kind of clunky remote system. You know, it's great to allow people to come in and to attend, but I always find the conversation is more robust and I think broader when we can be in the same room. So anyway, I don't know if any persons, any commissioners, Commissioner Roy, you have a question for Danny?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much, Danny. And I'll echo the chair's sentiments. Just want to thank you for all your advocacy to help keep the workforce safe. Lots happened over the years, obviously, and we don't want to see things repeat themselves again. And you know, and since things had happened, cannabis dust is a recognized allergen. So there's more work to do. And again, thank you for all your advocacy to keep not only workers safe, but the public safe as well. And just my question to you, Danny, is this board approved unanimously maybe 8 or 9 months ago, or maybe even longer at this point, a dedicated tip line. And the sole tip line right now, folks can lodge complaints, but it's very ad hoc. There's numerous ways. It's not really streamlined. And you know, I think it's critically important. And by the way, it's mandated in our regulations to create a solely dedicated line. And we have not done that yet. And so I'm very disappointed that here we are, fast forward, and that tip line is still not operational. So I want to say that publicly, that I have profound disappointment over that. But Danny, could you see a role for this? Do you think workers, something they would use if they knew they could just call this, like say 1-800 line, a dedicated just for reporting tips?
I think, yes, it would be used Very much so, but it also needs to be followed up on. And I think that's a part that workers are right now seeing, is that their concerns, even if they are somehow routed to the appropriate parties, don't often reflect any kind of enforcement activity. And so there's still some mistrust in that aspect. But I think that it ultimately is the next step forward to workers being able to provide investigations and enforcement with this information. But I do, again, think that it's something that when these investigators are within these facilities, could easily, go to all of the workers and ask them for a survey of how things are going for them there and what's happening. And they would get a lot of information that they've been missing out on, probably.
Thank you. Commissioner Benedon, do you have any questions? Hearing none. Commissioner Stebbins? Commissioner Stebbins? Nope, all set. Thanks again, Danny. Again, keep warm. Appreciate it. Moving on to Ruben. I hope I pronounced it right. Syed. I hope I'm pronouncing it. Ruben, if you can correct me, please. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Hi, good morning. It's Ruben Sadie. You weren't too far off.
All right, thank you. I hate mispronouncing names. So again, Ruben Sadie, thank you very much. And can you identify where you're from, Ruben?
Yeah, I'm with Delivered Inc., a delivery operator based out of Clinton, Mass.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, I'll keep this short. I doubt I'm going to use my full 3 minutes, but to start off, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to give us the opportunity to share some feedback, and thank you for even giving the opportunity for the exclusivity period to be a thing that's talked about. So I want to just speak in support of extending the exclusivity period for delivery companies for 5 years. I do think that while there's been great progress made up to this point, it's not enough. And the reality, and that can be seen on the boots on the ground, that day-to-day reality. When I talk to a bunch of the other delivery companies that are operating in the state, most of us have the same conversation time and time again, and it's that we're struggling. And it's that we are fighting to stay open and fighting for the ability to pay off for all of our hard work that we put in the last 5 years to actually pay off and be something meaningful. And if the exclusivity period was to end sooner than later, most of us would end up not, that work would become worthless, and most of us wouldn't really have an opportunity to stay open past the exclusivity period, just because we haven't had the chance to really solidify our businesses and build the roots and structure that we need to have long-term viability. That's really it. I really think that the exclusivity period needs to be extended for at least 5 more years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ruben. Any commissioners have any questions for Ruben? Hearing none. Thanks, Ruben. We really appreciate it.
Commissioner, no, wait.
Sorry, I didn't see your hand up. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah. No, Commissioner Benedon.
Oh, sorry. So I can't see her. I've got to figure out how to.
And I apologize. I unless I'm not knowing where to look, I don't see the option to virtually raise my hand. I don't know why that's not showing up like it usually does.
Mhm.
So
It
yeah,
does not exist. It doesn't
It does
exist
not,
in the
okay.
public meeting. Yeah, sorry.
okay.
Can I make a suggestion? If you're maybe teeing up a question, and because I'm going to try to figure out how I more nimbly look across the photos. Maybe you can just put a letter or hi or something if you want to let me know, so that I have 2 ways to know that you're asking questions.
Okay.
So I apologize. Go ahead, Commissioner Benedon. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And my question for Ruben, and thank you for being here today. What we've heard from you, as well as people who've spoken before you, is really advocating for 5 years at least. And you probably are aware that the proposal right now is 3 years. I had advocated during our public meeting for a longer period, but ultimately the vote was for 3 years. And I wanted to ask a question in particular, because I think that I heard you say that if it was only 3 years, you feel like that isn't enough time. And at the end of the 3 years, that could just be the end of the company, the end of the business, without that longer period. And I'm interested to hear from you as to what you really see happening in kind of that 4th and 5th year that would really make the difference if it were to be 5 years rather than 3. Do you feel like you can elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things that that extra period would do for us. So a couple, or off the bat, it's the regulatory changes. The one driver, I know that there's talks about marketing changes being made. I know there's talks about no towns at the state level being eliminated. Those are all benefits that if it's only a 3-year extension, we don't really know how long we would be able to benefit from that. As you know, legislation and regulations take quite a bit to change and for us operators to actually be able to benefit from them. So if we're talking about a 3-year extension and we're talking about it taking another year, year and a half for no towns and marketing changes to be implemented, that gives us maybe a year and a half of the extension period to be able to grow with those new changes made. So I don't think that that's enough. That period of time, that 1.5 year, that would be left with new changes would be enough to for us businesses to really implement the changes and see real benefits from it. So that's why I think 5 years at least is where it needs to be. That way, if it does take even up to 2 years for the regulatory and legislation changes to come through, all of us still have at least 3 years of guaranteed time where we can benefit from that and use them to our advantage. And the reality is that a big reason a lot of us are struggling today is because of these regulations that are in place and were in place and really limited our ability to grow. So I think it's only the fair thing to do to give us 3 years minimum without these regulations and in place to allow us to really have a chance to test the market.
Again, Commissioner Stebbins? And again, Ruben, thank you. And again, I just want to note, tried to put 2-driver rule on the agenda to get that done in 2023 and was blocked from doing that. So unfortunately, you had another year of those added expenses. And so I totally understand that. But I also want to engage you in the conversations that we are going to be having in terms of reducing red tape in general, whether it's, as we were trying to do more quickly, getting rid of the 2nd-driver rule, which would have helped people, similarly situated become profitable more quickly or become profitable. There are other items that we're looking at under the red tape removal study, and I hope that you will be actively involved in helping us look at other red tape removal that I think could benefit your business. So again, I thank you for your testimony and appreciate your taking the time to share your thoughts with us about that. Thank you. Moving on to Lucas Thayer. We have Lucas here. Again, could you put up just who I can see is and is not here? Betsy, because do we have Lucas here? And Lucas, unmute. I can't see Lucas.
We do not have Lucas with us.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, I'm gonna parens that. Ryan Dominguez. Ryan, could you come on camera and unmute?
Good morning, Chair O'Brien, Commissioners. I'm actually having some connectivity issues with my video. Was having some freezing in my first call, so I'm going to keep my camera off to hopefully not freeze during my comments. But I appreciate.
We can hear you loud and clear, Ryan. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Great to hear. Well, appreciate the opportunity to testify today, and for keeping us safe and off the roads to make this virtual. As you know, I'm Ryan Dominguez, Executive Director of the MCC. In terms of the exclusivity period for delivery, I want to echo the delivery operators' comments and put the MCC support behind extending the exclusivity period. We're also supportive of the proposal to extend the exclusivity period to 5 years instead of 3. From a social equity trust fund perspective, I also sit on the Social Equity Trust Fund Advisory Board, and I've spoken to a number of applicants who are either provisional delivery licensees or recently commenced operations. And each one said that this new grant round would either help them finally get open or to help them achieve some type of financial stability as they were kind of getting off the ground So with that in mind, we should be looking to give these new entrants into the market more time to build out their businesses and realize their dreams. So I think this extension will go a long way in helping that. I also wanted to just quickly address the former Commissioner Benedict's previous question. I want to say that the regulations around the social equity trust fund, they also note that a person or entity may not sell for a period of 5 years from getting social equity trust fund dollars. So if any of these delivery operators wanted to sell their businesses for a profit, they would have to wait for kind of a 5-year period. And so if we were to match what was in those regulations, I think you create this exclusivity period for businesses to, create some type of profits and also create some type of financial viability. So when they are actually able to realize some potential gains in the future, they can sell off their business if they so choose to do so. So I think, that alignment could be really helpful for some of the delivery operators.
Ryan,
With
could
my
I
remaining
interrupt
time,
you just, Ryan, could I just
Yeah, of course.
interrupt you to just get a little bit more into,
Mhm.
and we'll buy you an extra 30 seconds, but could you just,
Of course.
just more fully explain about selling? Because this has been sort of the dynamic, that there are some social equity applicants who agreed with you on the expansion of lifting the license cap, and some who didn't. And part of the reason is, we've had some very, very, telling conversations and illuminating conversations about the ability to, in essence, create a generational, transformational wealth, and being able to have an exit strategy is really important to that. Can you just explain that in a little bit more depth about why this an extended exclusivity period allows for a greater ability to sell for a profit? Can you just get into that a little bit more? And because you mentioned about the
Yeah.
5, I just explain that.
Yeah, definitely. So within the regulations for the social equity trust fund, there are certain restrictions of if you take money out of the fund, you are prohibited from actually selling your business to another entity or individual for a period of 5 years from the time that you took the money out. So for anybody who got money in this most recent grant round, they would have a 5-year restriction until they can actually sell that business. So if we were to put in a 5-year exclusivity period from April until 5 years from now, the folks who were just able to get that grant money in this round would have that exclusivity period throughout. And then when they're actually able to sell their business, they are the only ones who are competing in the delivery market. And I think that will allow them to realize the benefits of the one driver rule, of their social equity trust fund dollars, et cetera, and build some history of some profits, et cetera, that they can kind of take to the market to potentially get some multiples on in the future. So I think matching that up currently with this grant round and some of those regulations would be helpful, so that, in 3 years, there's not these new entries into the market who then now are competing with them, maybe oversaturating the market a little bit more, et cetera, and lowering the value of their businesses once that 5-year period is lifted and they can actually sell their businesses.
Ryan, how does, you were talking about new entrants. How does this sort of jibe with the resistance to allow more social equity potential applicants under the parameters of the Donahue Institute? On the one hand, I'm hearing we want to protect exclusivity, but then on the other hand, we don't want any more new people who are similarly situated, similarly disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. How do we reconcile that? You know what I mean? That's one of the things I'm struggling with. How do we reconcile that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we shouldn't be preventing any of the social equity, economic empowerment applicants who are in the pipeline already from being able to enter in. But let's say if we only make it 3 years for the delivery exclusivity period, now we're opening it up outside of just the social equity, economic empowerment applicants. And so in that sense, then I think you're adding in these non-social equity folks to the mix.
What I'm talking about is not the people necessarily in the pipeline, but the people who qualify just the same as a number of social equity. It's the people who, we had looked at the Donahue Institute and we talked about how could we expand that footprint, expand that opportunity, and I'm getting a little bit of pushback. How do we reconcile? I mean, are we just concerned about the people who are in the pipeline right now? Are we concerned about people who are trying to get into the pipeline? Because that's what I'm trying to reconcile here right now. Is
Yeah.
it so how do we reconcile that?
And that's a hard question to answer. And I think that's like something for sure that the commission is going to have to debate on whether, they want to focus on the folks that have already been in this process for multiple years or like opening it up. I think what I've heard from folks is like, we don't want to add more people into kind of the mix because of the fact that we already have 1,000+ people who've gone through our social equity program and have been potentially at this for years. I understand the need or, the desire from the Donahue report to open it up to some new communities, et cetera. And again, I don't know if there's a simple answer to this. So I do think from my perspective, from the MCC's perspective, that we should be trying to support and focus on those who have already been in the pipeline and trying to ensure that we're not diluting, the funds from the Social Equity Trust Fund that can be going to the people who are right there on the cusp of opening or are currently opening and just struggling to keep their doors open. So unfortunately, I do feel like may have to pick some winners and losers in some of this type of stuff. And I do think that the folks who have been at it for multiple years and are in the pipeline should be the primary focus of all of that.
And again, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I got a lot of pushback several years ago when I was saying exactly that, that I actually argued against doing, spending $500,000, $1 million on an additional cohort. And I felt that we should be focusing on those persons, those applicants that were already in the pipeline because they'd already demonstrated their ability to at least on paper be successful. So again, we're not in sync. But I raised exactly this issue a number of years ago, and so I think that we as commissioners need to kind of come to some understanding of if there are winners and losers that we are going to pick, we at least need to be consistent, and we at least need to state that. We're looking at the freeze on cultivation. Again, we have not debated that or argued that, but ultimately that is making important decisions about how this market functions, how we do address and protect the profitability of the people who have been working at this for years, but also how do we take into consideration people who are on the outside looking in. So I appreciated that. I'll move on because I appreciate your testimony, Ryan, and want to continue the conversation. But I raised the issue that you are talking about right now 3 years ago and got a little bit of pushback. So I'm glad that we're in sync. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, and I appreciate your leadership on that. I was wondering if I could get maybe like a minute or two just
Oh,
to
sure,
talk about
please
the
go
Secret
ahead.
Shopper
Yep,
program.
go ahead. Yep. Sorry.
So just on the Secret Shopper program, I think that it clearly has good intentions. I think, we want to keep consumers safe. I think the whole industry wants to support that. The one concern I am hearing from the industry is regarding the off-the-shelf retesting, which raises some questions that kind of need to be answered, I think, before the program can be truly effective and protect consumers. The first is like, thinking about the testing program as a whole and kind of taking a high level look at that. We've had countless conversations about inconsistent testing results, whether for potency or total yeast and mold. And so if the concern is around some of those results and standards, I think that we should really be trying to also focus similarly to the labs and trying to create uniform lab testing standards and implementing a Secret Shopper program that will audit and verify a strengthened testing program that has those standards kind of in place. And I know the labs have been meeting with you all. We've met with the labs. And so I think, parallel to this conversation, really just hope that you all will be looking at some of those testing standards. And just a couple quick notes on testing changes. I think first, we need to look at kind of the chain of custody. There are definitely concerns that we've heard about products that are leaving cultivation or product manufacturing facilities that don't always follow the same storage conditions when they move through the supply chain. So without any kind of safe handling standards throughout the supply chain, and that also includes any kind of third-party secret shopper vendor, we can't really be sure that a product has not kind of degraded due to less than ideal storage conditions after they kind of transfer from wholesale. So we're supportive of Danny's previous comments of ensuring that facilities meet high standards for safety. And so if it's, the cultivators and manufacturers who are going to face kind of the enforcement of some of these things, but if they are meeting the high standards, I don't think that they should be shouldering the blame when the true source of the issue may lie with a third party, whether it's a transporter or a retailer or a third party kind of secret shopper vendor. And then also, we need to talk about the total yeast and mold thresholds. Currently, we all know that it's at a 10,000 CFU limit. And just 1 week ago, Ohio Cannabis Control increased their similar 10,000 CFU limit to 50,000 CFUs, because I think that they understood that the total yeast and mold test as a whole is just not really an accurate measure of what the specific pathogens that are actually harmful for consumers. And with so many other states that have even higher levels up to 100,000, I don't think that they found widespread evidence of consumer harm in those states. And so if we're really going to be thinking about having an effective secret shopper program, I do think we need to make some adjustments to those testing standards and ensuring that we have kind of reasonable certainty across all of the businesses in terms of those high standards that we want everybody to meet, whether it's the labs, the retailers, the cultivators, etc.
Thanks, Ryan. I don't mean to interrupt. I think that I have taketh and giveth back appropriately. So I hope that you've gotten all. I will tell you, we are in the process of doing a hire for a new director of testing and compliance. The first and foremost issue will be that unlike in the past, the director of testing and compliance will be able to actually in public talk about testing fraud, talk about testing inconsistencies. We actually have a working group inside the commission that is, I think, within the next week going to be, we should be, in a week or two, we should be putting forth some of those new regulatory suggestions and begin that process. So I hope you will be very actively involved, and I know you will be. So anyway, just to make sure we keep things moving on before anybody else loses any more part, I want to, again, Commissioner Roy, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ryan, for your testimony. I just want to circle back, Ryan. You had mentioned this 5-year requirement that if you receive any funds from the Social Equity Trust Fund, there's a 5-year, if you will, period where you're not able to sell. I'm just curious, where did that come from? Is it in statute? Did it come from your board, your advisory board? Did it come from EOED? Like, where is that open to change to 36? Like, where did that rule come from?
And it is something that we've had conversations about. I don't think that there necessarily should be that. I think, if a delivery operator, has made a profitable business and now wants to realize those gains to create some generational wealth for them and their families, and we know a lot of these businesses had to rely on community funds to actually get their stuff up and running. So being able to ensure that those community members are able to see some profits as well. So I do think that there has been conversation around it. It was something that was created by EOED after having some listening sessions with us. I think it can change, just like with any of the regulations that we have here at the CCC. I'm happy to send that over to you all. For the CCC staff, I'll put the link to the regulations in the chat for folks, and if you can maybe send that over to the commissioners, and I'll put exactly what section it outlines that for you.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, Commissioner Benedon, any questions? Commissioner Stebbins, any questions? Hearing none, I will move on. Thank you, Ryan. Moving on to Kevin Gilnack.
Good morning, Chair O'Brien and Commissioners Benedon, Roy, and Stebbins, Executive Director Ahern, and Commission staff. It's great to be with you this morning virtually. Hope everybody's staying warm. Sorry to hear about your power, Chair. Thank you again for the opportunity. My name is Kevin Gilnack. I'm here on behalf of Equitable Opportunities Now and the Massachusetts Cannabis Equity Council. And I'm here today to join the other social equity businesses and advocates you've heard for to request the CCC extend the delivery exclusivity in 5 years. As the Donahue Institute report noted, the goals of the exclusivity period of encouraging full participation have not been met, and that the leading mission of economic empowerment has not been fully realized. I think the report and our lived experience shows that the previous 3-year period has been too short to succeed, with a lack of evaluation criteria at the beginning, and then a protracted regulatory review process to undo really burdensome and costly regulations that have prevented social equity businesses from thriving in this subsector. Simply put, we're just very early in the implementation of this license type, and while there's been some progress, it's been incomplete and fragile. We have seen, as a result of the exclusivity period, some increased participation among people of color and strong representation from disproportionately impacted areas. And yet delivery is still only about 5% of the industry and still faces persistent systemic barriers around high startup costs, costly and complex licensing process, municipal challenges, and market conditions. So we've improved. We still have not actually achieved the end goal, and folks are still struggling to scale and reach sustainability. As I noted, those important changes like the 2-agent requirement, extending delivery hours, and allowing repackaging are all still becoming operationalized, and folks have barely had a minute to realize any sort of gains that would allow them to stabilize their businesses. And despite having no legislative mandate to do so, the CCC continues to prohibit delivery to towns that prohibit retail. The House and Senate have both favorably reported bills to undo this regulatory overreach, and the Senate included it in their omnibus bill. But as long as the CCC continues to prevent delivery to no towns and we wait for legislative action, that's just one more aspect of the licensing scheme where folks are being left behind. And, we can expect that future entrants, once the exclusivity period ends, to have access to those. And we should really be looking at making sure this exclusivity period gives the current folks and any social equity and economic empowerment folks who want to pursue this license the opportunity to thrive for a significant period under the final conditions, not under testing conditions where things are unprofitable. 87% of delivery operators and applicants support extending the delivery period, and the Institute report itself proposes 5 to 7 years. I'd echo Ryan's point about grantees already having a 5-year prohibition from EOED, and harmonizing that would be beneficial, and it would give us more time to continue the discussion on DIA communities to ensure that there's a window for other folks who might enter. So I appreciate your time. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Commissioner Benedon.
Thank you. Could you go back? You referenced 87% support. Could you elaborate on that? I may have just missed what you said about the 87%.
Sure. Yes, I'm reaching back to the Donahue Institute report, survey results from participants through the CCC licensing that they surveyed. I believe the number was 87% of the folks who were surveyed by the Donahue Institute said that they supported extending the exclusivity period, with only 11% remaining neutral or opposed to that change. But I should say they did not specify the number of years to extend it that I saw.
Commissioner Benedon, any further question?
No, thank you for clarifying. I missed that was from the Donahue report and thought you were saying that you had done your own survey, and I was going to ask follow-up questions, but I appreciate you pointing that out, and we do have that information. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Stebbins, I see your hand is not up. Commissioner Roy, is your hand up? No questions. Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate it. Moving on to Mignon Hobdy. I don't see. Do we have Mignon Hobdy? And I just got a message about somebody being. Do we have Mignon Hobdy? Hobdy. hold on, I just gotta script. Okay. All right. So if we don't have Mignon here, I will move on. I see Grant Smith Ellis has signed up, but I'm there. I do see him there. Grant Smith Ellis.
Yes, hello, Madam Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be heard. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and I helped to craft the creation of the delivery operator license. Originally, it was just going to be the courier license. And so the implementation of delivery was delayed because social consumption and delivery were kind of a hot button political issue in 2018. So extending the priority period for 5 years is important to correct for the latency in the delay of the implementation and creation of the license types. And then people tried to sue, and then we shamed them publicly and they had to withdraw their lawsuit. Anyway, I thought I would read for you a quote from Adam Smith because I'm not a company or fiscally interested in this. I just helped create the social equity loan fund so other people could thrive. And when thinking about this as policymakers, I really do think Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations is very helpful. So he's talking about the price of wheat, and he says the interests of the dealers or the manufacturers in any particular branch of trade or manufacturing is always in some respects different from and even opposite to that of the public. To widen the market and to narrow the competition is always in the interests of the dealers. To widen the market may frequently be agreeable enough to the interests of the public, but to narrow the competition must always be against it and can only serve to enable the dealers by raising their profits above what they would naturally be and to, in effect, levy for their own benefit an absurd tax upon the rest of their fellow citizens. The proposal of any new law or regulation of commerce which comes from this order of men ought always to be listened to with great precaution, and ought never to be adopted till having been long and carefully examined, not only with the most scrupulous, but with the most suspicious attention. It comes from an order of men whose interest is never exactly the same with that of the public, who have generally an interest to deceive and even to oppress the public, and who accordingly have, upon many occasions, both deceived and oppressed it. So I don't think that's relative to the extension of the 5-year priority period, but as you listen to some of this feedback from people who are more interested in pulling up the ladder and justifying a market oligopoly, I think it's important to remember that the foundations of laissez-faire capitalism are not to centralize control and pick winners and losers, but to enable an equal playing field and ideally to provide subsidies to local companies to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 10 years, and then kind of make a point that those are the people that should kind of be involved in the policy decisions and not wealthy market interests that already exist. That's why I helped create the delivery operator license. That's why I helped create the social equity loan fund. I think you're all doing pretty good work on the whole. We just have to be a little weary of corporate subversion. Thanks for your time. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Grant. So what's your position on this? I think I'm
Oh, sorry, Madam Chair.
Go ahead. No. I appreciate the economics and history lesson, and you know, I they called it Gentleman B when I was there. So just talk to me about what your sort of position is on. I think I understand, but if you could just clarify.
Yeah, so it's probably bifurcated or trifurcated. I support the extension of the priority period for 5 years to reflect the latency in the delay of the delivery operator and courier license type. And then separately, I oppose any attempts to make it easier for equity companies to sell themselves during the priority period. And then furthermore, I agree with everything Danny says in that it's not the testing of products, although that's a big issue. It's the conditions in the companies. So kind of 3 separate points, but on the issue of delivery, extend the priority period for 5 years. I think that's a good idea.
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioner Roy?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Grant, for your testimony. Does this apply to, we were just speaking about the DIA map from the Donahue Institute, and I wrote down pulling up the ladder in the interest of an oligarchy. Does that apply to that map?
Oh, oligopoly. Sorry, not oligarchy. They're probably oligarchs, but oligopoly is probably better here. In the sense, Commissioner, that there's an effort to prevent the Donahue report's effective implementation so that the number of towns that qualify for DIA status won't expand, and thus the pool of people who can qualify for the social equity loan fund is artificially reduced. Yes, I do see a little bit of that in the opposition to its implementation. Personally, I found it offensive to the work of Dr. Johnson and her team, and I appreciate the opportunity to answer that question.
Yeah, thank you, Grant.
Okay, just quickly, Commissioner Benedon has lost her power. Sorry, Brookline. So you can see she's kind of frozen on the screen. So I will look to see if she has any questions. I don't see. Commissioner Roy, I'm assuming you're done. And Commissioner Stebbins, do you have a question? Nope, he's all set. Okay, thank you very much, Grant. Congratulations on the JD.
Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
And we're moving to Yasha Khan.
Good morning,
Hi.
and thank you for allowing us to speak on this. I'm here to voice my support for an off-the-shelf testing program as part of the Secret Shopper program. In mature regulated markets, post-market surveillance is routine. This happens in some cannabis jurisdictions and across many other fields. The sampling framework is often public so that everyone understands approximately how it works. The scale is known, as in how many samples are to be tested monthly or quarterly. And the results are published so that those that participate and the market understands that the program is active and that it's being implemented objectively. Transparency protects consumers, the industry, and allows us to see that the program is actually being implemented. And from my understanding, the problem with the previous iteration of this program is that neither was there any information about how is the program run, how many samples are tested, nor were any results ever made public, so we can't compare the implementation to its design. Was it actually being run? And if a single sample was tested at some point, there can be a claim of yes, it was. But that's not a real off-the-shelf testing program. So my hope is that the regulatory language includes something to the effect of there needs to be a protocol that's publicly made about how many samples are tested and about the transparency of the results. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Again, we are going to be continuing to look at the broader issue of testing as you're likely aware and anticipating. So, you know, while this Secret Shopper program is something that is in the regulation, something that's on the books that we need to put in place, we also know that there's a lot more work that needs to be done in terms of protocols and standards and you know, and working closely with your group to ensure that we're keeping the public safe and that we're protecting consumers' interests. So thank you for your testimony. Commissioner Roy, do you have a question? Go ahead. Quickly.
If I can add just one thing, that the data collected from an off-the-shelf program would allow the CCC and for everyone to see, to start at least collecting data, understanding what's happening, where are the problems. Without this kind of data collection, we're continuing to operate blind.
Thank you.
We don't need to wait until we have other things in place to start collecting data to understand where are the problems. Or
we agree, and we are looking towards more transparency, not less. So I appreciate the comment, and thank you very much for testifying here today. Commissioner Roy, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, I just, Yasha, thank you for your testimony. And, you know, I agree, and I've advocated for a long time about transparency with testing. And, you know, I'm some of that information, if it's helping with an investigation, obviously couldn't be transparent right away. But the ultimate goal is transparency and the nuts and bolts of it, which, I helped draft those regs for the secret shopper, and then we put a lot more nuts and bolts than was in the previous, the current regulations. I should say there were really no nuts and bolts. We did put some in there now, but, some of it could be sub-regulatory guidance as well. But I appreciate your feedback, and that's definitely something to consider.
Thank you. I see Commissioner Bennett on alive again, so I'm assuming you're back in. Any questions or comments, Commissioner Bennett on?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stebbins. I'm assuming you're okay. Seeing none. Thank you very much, Yasha. I appreciate it. Moving on to Anthony Porpora. Or Porpora. Again, I hate mispronouncing names. Don't see him there. Going once, going twice. All right, and then we will move on to, and I will do a last call in case anybody has joined late, because I am just trying to make sure. Okay, and it looks like we might have one or two extras. Okay, Michael Kahn. Please unmute, Michael.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to speak on this topic. I will echo Yasha and speak about the need for a secret shopper program and off-the-shelf testing program. So again, thank you for holding this critically important public hearing. I'm speaking in support of your efforts to create an effective off-the-shelf testing program for our cannabis products. I believe this program can foster a more trusted and therefore more prosperous cannabis marketplace. Our industry in Massachusetts has suffered from inaccurate lab shopping practices for years, and our state has seen a dramatic reduction in business operations and liquidity, profitability, industry reputation, and most importantly, product safety and quality. A key pillar of our regulated cannabis program is an assurance of the quality of the products when compared with the unregulated market. This differentiator was a key reason both for passing ballot initiatives and for bringing new customers to the regulated marketplace. Now, it takes a tremendous amount of effort and resources to produce high quality cannabis products, as mentioned earlier today by others here. But unfortunately, anybody who wants to differentiate their business through the quality of their products is at a severe disadvantage. A cultivator who grows great flower has to compete with subpar products grown at the bottom dollar that are passed off as though they are high quality because of the lack of accountability in the testing sector of our industry. Cannabis cultivators are required to have their product tested by an ITL like MCR Labs for safety and potency. The basic economic rule governing this relationship is that all players are incentivized to pass as many batches as possible with the most favorable results. Nowhere in the regulations is accuracy of testing incentivized. A lab which never detects contaminants and measures higher THC potency is going to receive all the business in the industry, and the labs which are accurate will cease operation. A transparent off-the-shelf program can provide a desperately needed incentive. If products sold to consumers are found to be unsafe or mislabeled, there need to be consequences. We can't have unsafe or mislabeled products on the shelves. Because this will be a major shift, I believe that the parameters of this program should be communicated to all licensees ahead of time so that they can adjust their operations to meet the new requirement and not shock the system too much. I suggest the following order of operations. First, conduct a feasibility study of an off-the-shelf program. Publish a rubric for the off-the-shelf testing program, including statistically significant safety and accuracy determinations, relabeling and recall requirements, and follow-up or corrective action checks when needed. Then implement a beta version of the program where you issue warnings for 3 months or so instead of right away going to the extreme of product recalls. That would allow MEs to adjust to the requirements and find ITLs which provide accurate testing. Then begin testing off the shelves and adjust as you go. I'll end it here. Thank you again for holding this hearing. Thank you for your time.
Michael, obviously a lot of what you said is very complex and in-depth, and I'm hoping that you will submit your more fulsome comments and recommendation about the parameters with us via email.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy, any questions? Okay, Commissioner Benedon, any questions? Commissioner Stebbins. So again, Michael, I would thank you, appreciate the work that you've done. And if you could, and I will once again, I will repeat that to anybody who has testified today, that if you could send us follow-up comments in writing, that's helpful. Now, I'm just going to ask, I don't know, I think it's Betsy. Are there any, all right, first of all, Greg Robinson, I'm just going to reach out. Has Greg Robinson joined? Is there anybody else? I see, all right, so I'm going to cross off Greg Robinson. Lucas Thayer, I do not see Lucas Thayer. I do not see Minyan Hobdy. Is there anybody else? I see Dan Berger. It would Dan, and I'm just saying, is there anybody else on that list? Betsy, if you could take a look if there's anybody else, because obviously with the crazy storm, you know, if people wanted to, generally we like people to sign up, but you know, we would allow for people to come in. So we'll have Dan Berger speak, and then if there's anybody else, if you could put that in the chat, I would appreciate it. Hi, Dan. You can unmute.
Hello. Good morning. I'll keep it short and sweet. I just wanted to really show face.
Dan, if you could
considering
just identify yourself for all the commissioners so everyone knows your affiliation, if that's okay.
For sure. If you don't know who I am already, you will definitely find out. My name is Dan Berger. I'm the owner, equity program participant, primary owner, majority owner of Grasp Ventures LLC. We're a delivery operator up in Salem, Massachusetts. Very grateful for all of the folks in this call and for the commission for furthering the discussion here surrounding the delivery licenses. Really, I just have a couple short points. Just want to, voice my support in extending the exclusivity period until the market can mature under the recent regulatory changes. Like the social equity trust fund, the 2-driver rule, all of that great stuff. There's a number of changes that other delivery licensees and myself, we seem to be sort of locked in together on, like, being able to deliver to no towns, all of that good stuff. So would love to see that also take effect. But one thing that I think, commissioners who have been with the commission for a while might know, a point that I sort of tend to get hung up on is the vertical integration requirements on the medical side. So basically, rewind a couple years, right? So back in 2018, when the adult use licenses were rolled out, who got the first run at the adult use dispensary licenses? It was the vertically integrated medical dispensaries. Not only do they have one license that lets them do everything, they also got first run at the millions of dollars in the now $1 billion industry here in the Commonwealth. So I think one thing that really does need to take effect before we reevaluate the exclusivity period, we need to remove the vertical integration requirements, make it so that equity program participants are able to seek licenses on the medical side, and break up these large companies that, I think why we need a secret shopper program is because, like people have said, there are these giant companies putting out subpar product, and really the entire supply chain is beholden to that now. So as someone who is just selling the cannabis, I am beholden to the growers and to that whole infrastructure. So hopefully that's 3 minutes or less there, but I yield the rest of my time. Happy to answer any questions. You all hopefully know where to find me, but yeah, that's that.
Thanks, Dan. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but Dan, if you would like to also, I really ask everybody to put in writing any of their thoughts. You may have expanded thoughts, so I would appreciate your putting that in writing as well. Again, not that you have to, it would be very helpful to drill down on that. And again, just because it is such a lousy day and we're sort of dealing under weird restrictions here and we do have some time frames. I see two hands up. I'll go to Commissioner Roy because you're the first one I see. Commissioner Roy.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dan. Nice to see you as always. Thank you for your testimony. I just want to circle back on the phrase you used, subpar products. Could you expand a little bit on that? And do you think there's too much flour in the pipeline that contributes to that? Too much inventory? But if you could just kind of share with us your thoughts when you said subpar products and what are the factors that lead to that?
Yeah, and I guess I'll speak anecdotally, right, as a business owner and as a medical marijuana patient, right, medical cannabis patient. Over a number of years, I've shopped at a number of dispensaries, gotten product on my own shelves, and I won't name names specifically, but it seems like over the last few years in particular, some people that have had enforcement actions against them by the commission, you get some product that for years I had no problem with flavor profile, anything like that. And I've said it in some emails to folks. It's sort of like it's like getting water in your mouth from the log flume ride at the state fair. There's been some products out there where I go to, been getting stuff from these growers for years, go to spark it up, go to take my medicine, and it tastes horrible where I've had to return it. Some products that I've had growers give me as samples for my business to the point where I've cracked it open and it's heartbreaking, honestly. And yeah, I think, Commissioner Roy, it's these large vertically integrated medical companies, unfortunately, that are the ones that have the largest footprint when it comes to canopy space. And I'm sure if you start tracing these metric tags, you'll see that a lot of them go back to these canopies. And you have a number of advocates in here and people who've been ringing that bell for a while. And I do think the secret shopper program is a good step in the right direction there. But I think, there are, I think, a number of things the commission can do to maybe shore up the supply chain when it comes to canopy space. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate it, Dan. Commissioner Benedon.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your comments in particular related to the secret shopper program. I think that you advocated for but didn't focus as much on the delivery exclusivity extension. And so I did want to just follow up on what your thoughts are on that and what you consider an appropriate time period. I don't think I heard you mention any particular time period.
Yeah, and I think in Commissioner Benedon, nice to meet you, even indirectly. In previous comments, I think I said, in perpetuity, I think was a word that I used, which I think is strong, right? I'm in favor of really just laying out this exclusivity period until we really can address all of these things, right? So I know we have 3 years now, 5 years seems to also be another, and I definitely would push towards the longer period there for review because, I'll just give you an idea about my business. I formed my business back in October 2020. We have been fighting for years just to get regulations that make sense, let alone, things like the Social Equity Trust Fund to really help support our businesses moving forward. So I'm supportive of 5 years, really whatever it takes to, get the things in place to look at all of our businesses and make sure that we're evaluating them correctly.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one point, Dan, I think is important because what we're putting in place and the reason that we're here and under the gun is that what the commission was supposed to have been doing, and obviously we really have actually had a 4-year exclusivity period to this point, but we're under the gun because the commission and the people who are charged with in real time analyzing the progress of social equity. Again, I raised the fact that I tried to put the 2-driver rule on in May or June of 2023 and was blocked from doing that. So what this also will require is us to, rather than kicking it down the road, to actually be, and right now we're in a temporary extension period. We are literally by the skin of our teeth gonna get this done because people didn't do their job for 3 years. And so we had to temporarily extend this. So what we will be doing is in real time, rather than having a study at the last minute where we have to spend another $75,000 to fix it or to address it, in real time, we want to be tracking your progress. We want to be looking at where the money is going. We want to be looking at how successful people are being. And so we do leave ourselves an option to extend that into the future. So 3 years is just the floor, but it's up to the commission to do its job in real time, to be taking the temperature of the success or lack thereof of licensees who are similarly situated. So that's one of the things I just wanted to raise. It didn't get done right the first time. We're scrambling to address it. But again, we've had a 4-year exclusivity period, which means that ultimately this will extend into at minimum a 7-year and possibly an 8-year exclusivity period, because we do leave that open there. So, you know, at least with the current language. So again, anything that you can put in place, because some of the stuff that you've talked about in terms of the large, vertically integrated companies, this is, I won't say it's news to me, but it's kind of new to me. I'd love to dig into that a little bit more, because I think that it colors, flavors a lot of different conversations that we're going to be having about a lot of things that we're talking about here today, a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. You know, one of the questions that I had is the delivery to no towns. If I am hearing now that the commission can actually do that without a statutory change, I was not necessarily fully aware of that. So, you know, these are all things that we're taking in, every piece of information that people are giving to us. And I just want to say thank you. Please put whatever you have in writing. And again, I ask all the other participants and share with your friends. There's nothing else to do today except shovel, and you can't even shovel today. So, you know, ask your colleagues, your friends, your associates, that if they do have additional feedback for us and they weren't able to join us, or maybe they lost power, you know, we'd appreciate that. So thank you very much. A lot of eye-opening testimony. Appreciate it. Any commissioners? Commissioner Stebbins, do you have any questions or comments? Hearing or seeing? You want to?
Sorry, Chair. Just had
Oh,
to
sure. Go
unmute. Thank you. Dan, always a pleasure to see you. And just want to thank all the folks who testified and offered their input and their ideas. And, you know, hopefully they'll flush out some of those, Chair. I think, as you pointed out in comments, they can submit today, but greatly appreciate everyone's participation.
Right. Commissioner Bennett, on any questions or comments? No. Commissioner
No,
Roy,
thank you.
any questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank everyone who testified today. I've said many times, it's crucial to policy making, and you know, these folks are experiencing real world effects of our decisions, and so it's always important to hear from them. So thank you, everyone who tested virtually, and any written testimony I look forward to reading. Thank you.
And one other, apparently we do have Lucas there again. Obviously we have technology issues and questions. We're going to see if we can get Lucas there. I think is trying to phone in because Lucas couldn't join us earlier. I don't know, Betsy, I just got a text from Kate saying that Lucas is trying to get on, but I am unsure how I can accommodate that. Let's see. Lucas is not here. We're Kate. If Kate Flanagan, Kate, if you could actually come up and sort of tell me how we know Lucas is trying to get on and how we might be able to help him. Jess said he is not on yet. Oh, so Jess, are you getting a message? Jess, if you want to come on camera, are you getting some message from Lucas there?
Yes, he is working on it right now with our constituent services team of logging into the Zoom.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, all right. So, if I can, since we have, and I just to sort of have this quick conversation. So, so what I am intending to do is we have a meeting currently scheduled for this Thursday, the 26th. What I would like to do, because it's my understanding, I mean, my power has been flickering, and as I lost access to my internet a little bit earlier, and then was able to get back on. But what I would like to do, because we have a number of different issues that I would like to have time to discuss, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to be in person on Thursday. One, because I think that we're still going to have kind of these historic winds and snow coming in today, but we also have snow predicted for Wednesday night into Thursday. So what I have determined is that we would do, you know, a hybrid, but obviously rely on remote. And I've got to figure out how to publicize that. But just to get through the licenses, just the licenses on Thursday. Now, I will reserve the right a little bit later, because I have until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to post the Thursday meeting that would start, or if we started later, you know, it could be 11 o'clock. So, you know, I have the 48-hour window. What I am inclined to do is just do the licenses that are on the agenda, so we don't hold up licensees for any additional time. We currently have on our a hold on our schedule, but it is not firm, that there was going to be a legal training next week on Wednesday, although it's my understanding that the presentation is still not completed or has not been fully endorsed or written or approved by the legal team. So I know we all have that big chunk of time next Wednesday, so I'm not impeding or intruding on anybody's time. At least that's what I'm seeing from speaking with my executive assistant. So what I will plan to do is keep the meeting on Thursday, allow people to remotely meet, and then next Thursday we have the full hybrid where we can be in person, because we will have some robust discussions. We're going to have some video presentations, and I think that is more appropriate for an in-person meeting. So let's just see. So one more, trying to see, Jess, Commissioner Roy, go ahead.
Yeah, can you go just through it again and list the date? So like, is there like, so the next time you're thinking is Thursday, that's
we're gonna keep the Thursday meeting.
What's the date? So let's just, if we could, just for the public, anybody listening too, the dates would be
February 26th. We will keep the meeting on February 26th, but it's my intent to figure out how we can do that as we've done here today, remotely, so that we don't run up against the additional snowstorm and potential power outages. I just, you know, I don't want to create that. So it allows us to not have our licensees wait. And then I'm going to notice a meeting for, I believe it's March, I got to double check the date, March 4th. Okay, Lucas is in the room, March 4th. We already, as a group, have a tentative hold on our collective schedules, because it's my understanding that the legal team is doing, or the CPO's office is going to be doing a presentation for us regarding employment law and things like that. It's also my understanding that it's still tentative, but it's something that it's not a must do. Well, it's a must do. It's not a must do next week. So that would be my intent, to take the sort of discussion part of things and to do it next Wednesday. Again, just letting the public know I still have 48 hours to put this out. And again, obviously we're dealing with sort of historic problems right now in terms of scheduling and getting together in state of emergency and an historic storm here. So that is my intent. But I would suggest that people look to our website tomorrow. I plan on having the meeting on Thursday. I plan on limiting the agenda to just licensing issues. And then the following week, we have several presentations. We're going to be looking at videos. There are a number of different things that we're going to be doing regarding delegation, regarding, a number of different issues that I think we need to put on the agenda. And I just want to make sure that we have the opportunity to be in the room, to be live for those important discussions. So with that, I think that our friend Lucas Thayer, I
Hey,
see.
can you hear me?
So there you go. Yeah, we can hear you, Lucas. Thanks for soldiering on.
All right, great. Hi, my name is Lucas Thayer. I'm a social equity program participant from cohort 2. I was in the social equity program back in 2020. During the pandemic, another historic issue that's caused us to need to meet remotely. I will note that the email wasn't sent out, even though I did sign up to speak with the information required to get onto this, so certainly improve the process there, please. I speak in favor of the extension of the exclusivity period for delivery operators to be social equity participants. And we really need to remember that social equity program participants in Massachusetts are people who were put in cage at gunpoint by employees of the state of Massachusetts. People in Massachusetts were put in cages at gunpoint for possession, cultivation, distribution of cannabis products, the same cannabis products that many people are getting rich off of right now, who were not put in cages at gunpoint. So when we're doing things that are helping the people in the social equity program, we need to remember that this is a really big apology from the state for having messed up for 80 years of prohibition, putting people in cages at gunpoint for cannabis products. And we have a long way to go for fixing the wrongs of the war on drugs. The state of Massachusetts wrongly waged a war on cannabis producers, distributors, and their patients for almost a century. And we have a long way to go to fix that. And that this tiny little sliver of a shred of help of an exclusivity period for one tiny little license type within a very profitable industry is too little too late, honestly. Extend the exclusivity period for 10, 20, 30 years, however long you can without getting sued. But beyond that, we need to make the social equity program work. We have over 1,000 social equity program participants and only 200 or so are operational. That means that the struggle is still real for these people that were hindered in their lives by cannabis convictions. These people are nonviolent. These people were Massachusetts residents for at least 5 years. And we're patting ourselves on the back for an exclusivity period for delivery operators. We have a long way to go for these social equity participants. The grant program has a long way to go. The social equity grant program, which I recognize this agency does not control, has a lot of work to do to functionally help these social equity participants, not just more money, but more help in terms of training, of job training, of business training. We need to, I'll speak briefly on the off-the-shelf secret shopper program. We need to give those secret shoppers the power to whistleblow, like Danny's been doing for these moldy bud samples. The THC potency is not quite so critical, but the moldy buds getting through and heavy metals getting through is a problem. And in general, the Cannabis Control Commission needs to do a better job of listening to us, the stakeholders. We need more of these listening sessions, and we need them to be more functional. Thank you for the time.
Perfect timing, and I apologize if you did not get the notification previously, Lucas, but your comments are well taken. And again, because you've been struggling to get in, I'm just going to repeat for you. Please send us your comments in writing via email. That would be very helpful. I don't know.
I did. Thank you.
So again, I think that we're still kind of working out the details, but I just want to put people on notice that this is tentatively what I plan on noticing in terms of agenda for this Thursday, keeping the meeting, limiting it to just our licensing issues, and then noticing a meeting to do the things that initially were on the agenda for February 26th, to when hopefully we've had enough time to plow out and power has been returned and we can meet in person. I think I said the 4th, which is next Wednesday. Again, that is a date where I know that we all have a chunk of time that has been held, and it is not finalized scheduling item. So are there any other questions or comments from my fellow commissioners? Okay, hearing none.
Madam Chair?
Sorry, Commissioner Roy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank you for keeping us on a cadence of, at minimum 2 meetings a month. I think it's really important, and I appreciate your commitment to that, and being flexible with, obviously with the weather situation and prioritizing licensees for Thursday. So I just want to thank you for the cadence of these and just plowing ahead and doing the work. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Okay, thank you. All right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn until February 26th at 10 a.m. Do I hear that motion, Commissioner Roy? Commissioner Benedon, do I hear a second?
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, I will call the roll. I think I have to do this for a hearing anyway, but I will. Maybe I don't even have to do that now, but I'm going to do it to be safe. Commissioner Benedon.
Aye.
Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Commissioner Stebbins.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And again, even though I'm not even sure we needed a quorum or we needed to do this, we were listening. I think that it's better to be safe than sorry. So with that, we unanimously adjourn until February 26th. And again, keep an eye on the website because we are still dealing with changes in power and access. So and again, I want to thank Betsy, our executive director. I want to thank our CTIO and Jessica and the whole team for helping us, and Kate Flanagan. I just want to thank everybody for helping us. I know that this has been really difficult and we're kind of flying blind here. So again, just want to give my thanks to the entire team that worked to make this happen today. Thank you.
Thank you.